Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name's StepsBasic, and welcome back to my community show. Anyway, welcome back to my community show, ladies and gentlemen. I'm still feeling a little bit under the weather, but I'm much better today. My shoulder hurts. I must have slept on it funny. But anyway, that's not what's important. I'm wearing PJ pants underneath a fancy suit jacket and button-up shirt there. Or polo shirt, anyway. And so I'm ready to get into this. Announcements. So this week has been kind of scant for uploads. I really wish I had access to the community tab on YouTube, because one thing that really annoys me is I have to either make a video or announce on Twitter when I'm not going to be available. Now, I made a video yesterday, but sometimes it's kind of impossible to make a video, because the reason why I don't have a video uploading is because I currently have a video uploading that's going to take forever. But anyway, that's me just griping. I kind of wish I could do that, but I was sick yesterday. I was sick on Thursday, and then sick worse on Friday, but better today, so it's like, yay. So that's why I'm in here to do this video for y'all today. And Monday is actually kind of when it started, because I felt a bit out of it on Monday. And, yeah, there you go. But I've been trying to, just keep the regular content. But next week should see the end of DreadX 3, which will be exciting. And I plan to go ahead and finish up the quest in Warframe, the Call of the Tempestari, which is pretty awesome. But yeah, that'll be that. That'll be next week, and probably starting up the Borderlands 1 playthrough. I still haven't really decided who I want to be, because I really like all the characters. I might go Roland because he's the leader, or Brick because he bricks things. But, we'll find out when I get there. Anyway, enough of that. Into the topic for today, which is something that came up during Battlefield 5. I was talking about, because I know there was a bit of a controversy, people complaining about reality versus realism, complaining about the Battlefield 5 not being true to history, as it were. And this was a thought I had. I may have made a video about it. Leave me alone if I did, because I'm sick. But reality versus realism. It's an interesting idea, because a lot of people will praise the realism in a game, especially things like The Last of Us, most of the first-person shooters and whatnot. But the thing that people fail to realize when it comes to that situation is realism does not mean reality. Reality is, well, it's what we're living in right now. Our slow day-to-day movement through the world, and time advancing slowly, edging closer, the echoing thump of the grave as it comes ever closer. Yes. Reality kind of sucks. But realism is when you start to see things like graphics and character models and whatnot being close to mirroring what we can see in reality, i.e. the people look like people, not cartoons. The weapons look like weapons, and they function similar to what you would see in the real world and whatnot. And there is something to be said for a good deal of realism in a game, because as much as I do like my anime and I do like my cartoony characters, realism really helps to get you into the game, as it were. Let me minimize this window. There we go. Really helps you get into the game. Yeah, I had YouTube open in dark mode, and it was blocking out a lot of my light from my monitor. But anyway, and that was actually one thing that I really loved about The Last of Us 1 was the realism in the game, i.e. not just the character models looking and the facial movements matching what they were doing, not like Oh, what was the name of that stupid game? It wasn't a stupid game. It was a fun game. But the people in the snow, Wendigos. I can't remember the name of that game. But I had Hayden Panettiere as Sam in it, and no, that was their facial movements, and it's like, no. And people praised the realism in that game too, but then when I played it, I'm looking at the facial expressions in it, and I was like, man, these suck. They did better with the Man of Medan series when it came to the facial expressions, but it was like, when you see a character just suddenly go, and it's like, no, 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 you did well, but no, not close. And that was the thing I really loved about The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2 was the facial features and the way their faces moved when they talked. And The Last of Us 2 really played this up in the cut scenes when the characters were just sitting around, lounging around. It wasn't like they weren't just statically like, or they were fidgeting, and that realism really helped to kind of immerse me into the game. And additionally, apart from that, back to The Last of Us 1, is I felt like rather than taking the Hollywood approach in the ending, they took a more realism approach, like Joel sacrificing the world to save his daughter, which is, kind of what we as dads like to think we could do. Although, to be fair, if I tried to do that, I'd probably get shot to pieces and die before I got there. But, like, a lot of people praise realism, but then complain when it falls short of reality. I, on the other hand, am okay sacrificing full-on reality for the realism in games, because, as has been mentioned several times before, and is kind of a little bit of a faulty argument, is I do like the aspect of not dying in one shot, which is why I don't generally play games on super uber hard mode. Like I tried one of the Call of Duties on super hard mode, where it was like one or two shots I was dead, and I was like, this just isn't fun. I ended up beating it at veteran mode, was what it was called. I think it was how. And I played through The Last of Us Left Behind on grounded mode, and oh my god, that was so painful. But yeah, and sacrificing those things for the sake of realism as opposed to reality. I'm okay losing the I get shot and die one thing. I'm okay losing that. But there are certain times in games when I really do like it. I.e., if you take damage to one hand or one leg, you can't use that until you heal, sort of deal. Fallout, New Vegas, Fallout 3 had that functionality where if you broke a leg or damaged an arm, you would limp or not be able to use that arm effectively. And I'm like, I like that. That's pretty neat. But of course, not going as far into reality as you have to wait 6 months for your leg to heal. Or as would be more appropriate in the wasteland, you're going to die of gangrene or dysentery. Now, the two games that I played for the PlayStation Plus highlights this month were Battlefield 5 and Stranded Deep, and I think that this is a good example of realism versus reality sort of deal. Now, of course, Stranded Deep doesn't go full on reality either, which is good, but it's far more real, as it were, far more linked to the real world than most survival games that I've played throughout my 10 years as a gamer. And that's one thing I appreciate. It's like I've been playing it more on my off time, and I've actually been enjoying myself, which is odd when it comes to survival games. But I think mostly because this one was designed as a survival single player game, so it's like getting into it and surviving. There's actually a goal, which is one thing I appreciate. Like Subnautica, I really appreciate that there's a goal and a quest in the game, as opposed to something like 7 Days to Die, which the goal is only survive. And I'm like, if there's nothing better, then why? But that's one thing I've been enjoying about Stranded Deep is that there's a end game, as it were. You fly off the island chain, and moreover, the realism in the game really adds to it. It's like you don't starve immediately. You can go an entire day without starving to death. In fact, I think you can go 3 days without starving to death, but don't quote me on that. I haven't tried it yet. I know there is an achievement for surviving 10 days without eating any meat, and I want to do that. I actually kind of want to test how long it takes to go from full to empty in the game. Now, of course, the days pass quickly, because if it was reality, 24 hours to every day would really slow down the game, and you really wouldn't be able to enjoy yourself as much, because then you'd be like, oh. Moreover, the way the animals react, like the crabs don't bother you unless you step on them. The boars will avoid you until you get too close, and then if they're the big boars, they'll charge you, and the little boars will run away. And there's snakes, actually. I really love the way the snake reacted, because I was just walking around on one of the islands, and I hear the rattle on it. I'm like, and there I see it over there just coiled up. I'm like, oh, dude, that's awesome. It's not just a static, I charge you an attack sort of thing, because it's more like a real snake. And yeah, I really love that, because then I could just do the reality thing and step away from it and leave it alone, and it wouldn't bother me. And far too often in games, they really miss the animal mechanics, how animals really function and whatnot. And like the snake would really not bother you as long as you didn't get too close. Now, of course, there are giant crabs that I don't appreciate because, well, I can't kill them or haven't been able to kill them yet, and they chase you. Those suckers are mean. Oh, man, I tell you what, though. Also, there are a few things that don't quite function right. Like, I could kill a grouper pretty quick and whatnot, but I also like the fact that you have to drag it ashore to skin it. That's pretty neat. And then you get lots of meat off of it. and the realism in that game, I think, is what's winning me over for it. Like, every other survival game I play is pretty far flung from reality. But this one is so close to reality as to not quite cross over into reality. But the few things that limit it from going that far help keep me engaged in the game. I'm glad that the days move quicker. I'm glad that I don't starve. I can last a little longer in food and water, but not forever. And I'm glad that it doesn't have the save functionality where I can just save at any time. I know that's a harken back to the old days of gaming, but Anyway, so all that being said, what is your favorite version of realism versus reality? Do you like it in your games? Would you prefer just to play the cartoony anime style or cartoon style or over-the-top adventure style games? No, of course, no hate or shade, because we all have our preferences, and I myself enjoy engaging in those as well. But what are your favorite realisms in games? Like, what are your favorite things you like to see when they happen in games? Let me know in those comments down below. But anyway, apart from all that, I'm sick. I'm going to go nap. Thank you all so much for joining me for this episode of The Community Show. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you did, please don't poke that like button for me. If you'd like to see more from me, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And of course, as always, you're more than welcome to leave a comment down in the comment section down below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And I can't if I can. All that jazz. And tune in next time as we talk about another topic at another time. And until then, good night.